And we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to 2026, joined by the same familiar faces, thank God. And what better way to start the year? We wanted to, of course, start with a bang, and today's discussion will be pretty thematic, I would say, and pretty topical because don't know about you, but every week there seems to be a new either AI tool or a new feature coming up or going live for the usual suspects. We, Claude Code just went live this week, so there's just a lot going on in terms of tooling, and we just want to have a discussion whether that's necessarily a good thing for users or whether there's also like a cost, right, to having too much choice and too much proliferation. And that said, we wanted to, of course, wish the community Happy New Year. And Sheena, Alex, if you wanted to say hi, and then we'll get started.
Hello, everyone. New year, a new smile on our faces because we are ready for 2026. And with every year, as we promised, we are going to make something more bigger, something more valuable to the ecosystem. And yes, we are totally recharged to take up the same challenges that we have had and to ensure that this time we just don't build in silos, but we build with the entire community. So that's my opening message for everyone out there.
Yeah. So, hi everybody. It's so nice to be back. I think we are all a well-deserved little break. Everybody needs to recharge. A little bit of winter where everything feels like it's covered and a little rest from the growth. And I think it's very healthy as a life cycle for us. But as Sheena mentioned, you have taken this time to focus, gather around the fire, you know, metaphorically as a team, and then just we're more than ready for the 2026. I like Jay always has an energy of infection, of innovation, of things that are boiling up, and we, oh boy, if we have stuff for you guys. So I think today we will share some of the things that are been keeping up us at night, in terms of problems, and then keep your eyes peeled because of course solutions are just around the corner. I shall say no more.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy, I think, to what can I say, introduce the discussion, but without going too much, right? Because it almost feels like a what can I say, like an instinct, right, to try and go the full 100 meters and present what's coming next. But we'll do our best to keep it under wraps while at the same time introduce some of the key themes that what will be coming next will aim to tackle at 360 degrees. What we can share, of course, is that the target audience for us, it remains unchanged, which is builders, right? I think one positive consequence of having this plethora of choices when it comes to tooling is that anyone can become a builder now. Of course, like, it's not, if you don't have a technical background, you can come out and build like an Uber style app, because you still need a strong technical foundation and product knowledge and stuff like that. But with the advent of vibe coding, it just seems that nowadays anyone first things first, everyone has an idea, and you're able to put that idea to the test by chatting with one of the main vibe coding platforms, and yeah, just get started from there. So I think I've done it myself. I'm not technical. I'm not a coder myself, but I think there's true power in turning words into something tangible that you can view, iterate on, and then improve. So that's something that we'll dive into. That said, um, maybe from your different perspectives, right? Because Alex, you've joined at a specific point through the NodeOps journey. Sheena, you've been here from the start. Would you be able to, what can I say, provide like an overview of why you think what's coming next makes sense given where we've been, right? And yeah, and then maybe the same for Alex, right? Why the progression and why what's coming next you think is just a natural consequence of what we've been doing essentially.
Yeah, sure. So, most of like I've always spoken about my background and how I landed in Web3. And I've literally seen through a lot of projects through my past experience working in the Web3 also. So, I think now the narrative that we are sitting at is way too different from what it was even last year in January 2025. So I think last year it was all about trying to get AI, trying to get something very simplified. AI narrative was hitting. And I think it's easier to translate something in a machine language to try to simplify your work. But what's next? And where we are trying to bring AI into real life, it's also important that we are able to sustain it. We are able to. So, for example, let's just pick it up from an example like NodeOps launched the ChatGPT thing, right? I was super excited because I'm a 90s kid and I have grown playing the Nokia Snake game. So I was super excited to have something at my fingertips that I can customize that Snake game. Super excited. So I'm not a builder, I'm not even a vibe coder. Honestly, spilling the beans, I didn't even know what vibe coding means unless and until I had to literally go and ask Google or a AI assistant, what is vibe coding? So that is the kind of knowledge or background that I come up with. But the moment I was able to build that snake and I was able to deploy it somewhere, I had a very different feeling altogether, right? So that means essentially what we are trying to bring out is that AI is turning any profession person into another not an expert, but at least at an entry level. But there is much more beyond that. So we see like so many builders are building out so much. They're always looking for hands, right? That where should we go out for a grant, where should we find the community? But something which is able to sort out this one problem, I think life is gonna change. And with every narrative that NodeOps is trying to bring. And we've always, I think you will also definitely agree with me, when NodeOps launched NAS, like when we bought in that angle, we were much ahead of the curve. We were able to hit the exact requirement and the pain point. Last year with Deepen, we were able to identify what are the shortcomings and we ensured that we are able to fill in the loop. So this is good enough hint that what we have on the table next to ensure that all the loops are completely sealed 360 degrees. You're a casual builder, you are a pro builder, you have someone who has great ideas and you want to bring them to life. That is what we are trying to nail down on. Over to you, Alex, on this.
Yeah, definitely. I think you covered most of the juicy bits for sure. So on my end, I would only add a couple of more points. So if you're looking at what NodeOps has set out to be from the beginning, as set out to be a platform that would make it way easier for people to experience the tooling that they had to use. It is a very human need, to find a flow of concentration, a flow of you know pleasant experience when doing your job, right? Just because we are sitting at the at a desk and doing coding work doesn't mean that we don't feel like we're jumping from one place to the other. I think the perception of interrupted mindset, interrupted cognitive load, has always been an issue, whether it was for Web3 node development, for from a blockchain standpoint to deploy the infrastructure and maintaining the infrastructure. This has always been a way for NodeOps to make the experience smoother. So as AI comes thick and fast, every day feels that we're left behind, but it's always something new coming up. There's always that power of the mind to try to catch up and always feeling that you are always one step behind. And it's just natural that it is that way because it's an exciting time for humankind as we embrace new tools, and our sense of being human in respect of the tools that we're using for our work is actually changing. So it's the perception of us in relation to the tool that we're using to build and develop new program that is actually shifting. So I do believe that whatever is the next steps of evolution for NodeOps, it is actually a step that is very coherent with what came before, which is to look at us as human beings, as people who want to enjoy the work of deploying infrastructure, building tools, producing value and something that is valuable to others, even whether they are technical people or not, and then get there with some joy, some enjoyment, something that doesn't get you to pull out your hair out of the pain of having to manage all of that infrastructure. So our ethos is unchanged. Our commitment to seamless experience is stronger than ever. The context and the ecosystem is expanding rapidly, and we are accepting the challenge very much so. So 2026 will be very exciting in that sense.
Absolutely, you both nailed all the points mainly, right? And there's so much there. And I think with these new developments, right, especially with AI, Alex, you correctly pointed out that there's just, I would say it's impossible to keep up because like your brain would just explode and you probably would just have to do that and you wouldn't be able to focus on whatever like you actually have to do. But that's possible also, also the beauty there. But something that I think will happen this year is that via, which I think will play our role, is that via AI we're able to make infrastructure solutions such as ours, which we'll share more in the coming weeks, more compelling, I would say, right, and more intuitive for the end consumer. Because uh, something that is definitely obvious when it comes to AI is that it democratizes access, right, and opportunities. So that could be anything, right? And that could be building, consuming news, consuming information. Everyone has access to the same socials and the same opportunities. So it's nice that we'll play a role there. I won't say what role, but that said, right, the theme for today is to address some of the issues, right? Because of course, like with every new development, especially when it comes to new tech, there is always opportunities, but also risks, right? It always depends on the end user and how you're able to position yourself depending on what you want to do. Sheila, you mentioned NodeUp right? I think we're standing at like 1,100 apps being created by our community alone, right? Which is nuts if you actually think about it. And most of them also specifically came from, such as yourself, builders who, and myself, who, um, you know, didn't do this before, right? Or had never done this before. So it's um, it's amazing to see. But the full flow was super simple, and I think this is something that could be a hint for what's coming next. In terms of, you go to ChatGPT, you converse with RGPT. In your instance, it was a snake game from the Nokia 3330. I still remember it, crazy. And you had the chance to deploy it via AutoGen. You had a working link, and then you could utilize that URL wherever you want to, right? That flow, that there is no fragmentation because it's all within the same domain, you could say, right? But that's not the case, I would say, on average, the default option for vibe coding, because now that people understand that they can create, right, they also want to have an audience for what they create, right? So that means, oh, I've created something that I think is worthy or value adding, whatever it may be. The natural consequence is, oh, but I want to tell Sheena, I want to tell Alex, how do I do that? And where do I do that? And how am I able to possibly monetize on such a thing? So that introduces, I think, a whole set of opportunities and risks. So I wanted to ask both of you, like, what do you think about this phenomenon, right? And then we'll take it further in terms of tool proliferation.
Yeah, maybe you can. Oh, actually, you go first. I
No,
can
no,
say.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
Since you got it.
No,
Okay,
so
then I
this
go
just
first this
shows
time.
the quality of the team, right? You always are proactive to contribute. Alex, over to you first.
Okay, so from my side, I definitely, here on one side that we have this illusion that because we can use all of these tools, that those tools were able by themselves with magic to talk to one another, right? It's almost as if I would expect them to already know what I want before I've, actually expressed it. And it is true that we can now, with natural language, express what we're thinking and what we want. But when it comes to a full end-to-end execution, then necessarily, as it is now, as it stands, we still have divisions. We have hands-off between different stages of, the building. The building is a sequential process. You have first the planning, so just clarifying what you want to build. Then, based on that, you have to actually code what you want to build. Then you have to test it, figure out that what you want to build is actually what you want to build, and that it actually makes it making sense, that it works, that is pleasant, that is comprehensive. Then there is a deployment bit, which is for a lot like a very hard nut to crack, and that's why DevOps people live in a dungeon and they never come up with sunshine. Definitely, it's hardcore development when it comes to deployment. And then once you've done that, you end up with the hardest bit, which is to actually monitor what you're doing, making sure that what you are developing is actually worth it, that it actually attracting the right users, that your users are happy, and then you have to go to market. And ideally, at the end of this process, you are monetizing it. You're making some money, or whatever is your definition of monetization. Maybe it's not on dollar amount, but maybe it's on your own productivity. So you're monetizing your time better because that's what you want to, or you're just more enjoyment because you have a nice snake applications and your joy of being, in the 90s again, comes to fruition. So that stitching process is actually such a big cognitive overload on one side, and on the other, it's a lot of technical expertise that is required to make sure that all of these pieces are fitting together. So the idea of one unified environment, first, is an illusion at the moment, even though a lot of people try. It is still like you cannot delegate the know-how of how to stitch the pieces together unless you have an environment that is taking this off your hands altogether and make that an abstraction. So you have an abstraction layer that will do this for you, and you're interacting with this abstracted layer that has all this complexity that it's tightly hidden behind the scenes, and you're able to do that. So I think the future of vibe coders is actually the dream future for vibe coders, especially like us who are not DevOps hardcore folks, is to find a place where everything is there, like nice, nice and steady, like building like a nice Lego, construction where you have all the pieces that you need. Like you don't have to go around and figure out which pieces you need, and then you are able to do it with some guidance, with some logic that the artificial intelligence is doing it on your behalf. So that level of guidance. So from my standpoint, when it comes to the next phase of vibe coding, is to look for an execution environment that is unified, that is easy and pleasant to use, and that takes away the complexity from the end user, whether it's a savings in productivity, in time for the experts, or whether it is actually first-time doers and they have no idea that they have to do it, and someone is just guiding them through the process. Sheena,
There you
over to
go.
you.
Sure, sure, sure. So, I mean, yes, I think that's a very well way that you put it out across, Alex. But I mean, just even like what I would like to highlight over here is that okay, a little bit out of context. I'll try to draw some inference and examples. So, pick up Gen Z. So, the other day I was just talking to someone. I said, "How do you feel that millenniums are different from Gen Z?" Apparently, the age I am at, I don't know which bucket am I really falling into with the kind of trending I'm trying to catch up with. So, Gen Z, they said one thing: we are very independent. We even if we are asking for resources, but we are very intelligent enough that how we want to invest with the resources we have and how to generate those results. So when they're talking about this independent being, right, so for me, when I say that somebody wants to be super independent on their own and plan their journey from something that they're building to actually being a full-fledged entrepreneur, that is where you actually ensure that the value that you want to bring with the resources you have, you're able to end it up. Now, going back, if you pick up Twitter today, there are like so many people talking about the available AI tools. I came across this one profile which says that quit your 9 to 5 job and let AI take over everything. Yeah. So, and then I even on Insta, pretty active on Insta. So I keep getting like, if you are in this age and you want to make your life really seamless, these are these 40 AI tools. Start using it today and see your life change in next 30 days. So that means tools around are easily available. Fine, great. We all become builders. We all try to create these mini apps which we are able to simplify our life. But our life, an idea grows when it is not in silos, but when you're getting a value addition to the society around you and the community around you. Apparently, I don't know, maybe my feed is customized to that. But apparently, in all those posts of people talking about Claude, people talking about ChatGPT features, nobody has gone ahead talking about the next step. And being a part of the core team at NodeOps, and I, of course, came through a lot of CVs that I keep getting, resumes that I keep getting. I hear in that a whole experience about what they built, but I never get the evaluation of what they built. Like, where did it go out in the market? What happened next? So I think, of course, it's amazing to see that everybody is moving towards the builder stage. So I think that narrative is there right now. But eventually, if there are no end users, are we all just going to build and put a full stop there? If not, then that is what is the need of the hour. Maybe too nascent right now, maybe too early right now to talk about it, but that is something that is definitely visible to everyone. In the hearts of heart, I created a Nokia Snake game. But if there was something really readily available for me to go and actually put it up somewhere like a app store or something like a marketplace, and I was able to get more users attracted, that feeling I get, or that satisfaction I get, or getting motivated to build something next, or a V2, that is where I think the reality check comes, and that is how we progress. So that's a very simple way of putting it. Gen Z, go be independent, but ensure that you close the entire loop. Just don't stop at one stage that you achieve.
I agree with you, and I don't know so much about maybe the distinction. Yes, I agree with the degree of independence, and I think each generation or each bracket, however you want to call it, each age group comes with their own characteristics, right? And which is just a product of the time that we live in. Something that I've noticed, and something that you said, I think it's very intelligent in the sense that it's vibe coding is a new thing. We have tools available. I think Replit was one of the first ones. Now, you have different solutions that specialize in different kinds of vibe coding, I would say. So maybe Lovable does very kick-ass and refined UI. So if you're into websites and you know what I mean, want to put together, what can I say, super polished CVs, you can do it there. But if you want a more like a full stack application, you go elsewhere. So I think as a result of having tools available and users familiarizing themselves with these new solutions, you find these new pockets coming through, right? And specific kind of building going tied to specific kind of brands. And I think right now we are at the building stage. Sheena, you're absolutely right. And something, I think it's both an opportunity and a risk. I wanted to ask Alex specifically, given her expertise and know-how when it comes to like GTM. I think with building right now like this, there is a risk that whatever you come up with, right, you get found out immediately. So, for example, if you put together, let's use Sheena's example, right? Say we had a community of builders in the millions. Of course, we only just started with this new iteration, so that's to come. But say we were 3 or 4 years down the line, and Sheena's new game, the Snake game, was a hit immediately, right? Like thousands of users in the first 24 hours, 48 hours. There's nothing preventing someone else in the community seeing that and understanding how to get there, right? So my question for you is, how is the original creator, being Sheena in this instance, right, able to protect herself, to maximize the monetization window? Or will we just have shorter monetization windows and you just have an app for a month and you just move on? Like, how do you see this playing out?
That's such a tough question. I'm so happy that you go straight into the deep end. It is a tough question because it is not a tech question. It's a people question to me. So we feel that this is something that has to do with how many applications can be built at any given time. Like what's the speed or what's the multiplier? Say that, for example, I have an opportunity to reuse the code base of someone else. Or say that whatever I am building gets fed into an LLM that then probabilistically is going to return the same code base, that it's not really like there's no proof that has been taken from my code base. But if it happens, frequently enough from a lot of others, then it becomes probabilistically the answer that the LLM is going to spit out to many others. Actually, statistically to more than not, because that would be the most frequent answer, right? So I think the real danger on one side is that we settle with what's our ambition for creating stuff, and also with our faith in our own creativity and innovation, especially when it comes to disagreeing with such a powerful machine. Right? You wouldn't say, hey LLM, please build me this. What's the best way? And they will come up with an answer. And then it is hardly easy for us to say, hey, I disagree. I actually don't think that you're giving me the best option. You probably are just going to give me probabilistically the most common option that you see statistically represented in your data set. People forget that LLMs are probabilistic machines, and it is a very big risk. That means that the risk of innovation must be taken continuously from us as people. We have to try and break what is the comfort zone of saying yes to a vibe coding engine, to what is a safe and common answer, and trying to break the barrier on what may be risky, may be rejected, but it will be more original because it goes towards a creativity that comes from me, and it's the new prompt that the LLM would have never figured out. So in terms of, so the one answer is very human and very reflective on saying that for us, we should take courage and confidence in our ability to be really creative. So don't trust the creativity of a probabilistic machine. Trust your own instinct. Trust your own, innovation, your own spark of, craziness, and just go and prompt. Don't settle for that. The other bit on the other side of the GTM, runway is, of course, if everybody has the same product, it becomes a commoditized facility, right? Everybody will not have a differentiator. Everybody will just say, okay, whether it's A, B, or C, I'm going to get the same output out of it. So either it's going to be a price war, or it's just going to be a funding war because someone will have bigger marketing budgets to reach more people or not, right? So, and that it's not the playing field that we want to innovate with LLM. We would be literally back at square one with what has been the status quo so far. So I do dream for a company like ours to be creating a new playing field altogether, where there is a collaborative element through, oh, I was going to say something and I cannot say it yet, but through a community-driven solution for this to accelerate, but then also attracting people that find, the right way to collaborate with one another, to find the right audience, to find solution for themselves and to find solution with others and for others that is highly tailored, with one personal initiative. Like we all have very personal, skill set, very personal ability to see through problems and solutions in a unique way. And I do believe that everybody, if they are creative, they really have their own personal strength to just go and create something unique, even if it's coming from a base of, let's say, the community wisdom, right? Like a wisdom of the crowd, then it's still very original. We'll still do well with some people and differentiate.
There you go. Yeah, I think it's as you mentioned, like these are such big questions, right? And there's no way for us to know how things will actually play out. One way I think to actually possibly think about it, I don't know what you guys think, is I've been thinking about it more as we've been working on what we've been working on, is that I think there will be stellar builders who will put together like just superior solutions that will just dominate just because they're the better solutions. So I think that will always be there just because intelligent humans will continue to exist also when AI will still be there, right? So that won't change, in my opinion, also because we play a key role in producing solutions, right? As you mentioned, Alex, in terms of still being at the driver's seat of whatever we're trying to create with AI. So that's not going to like, if anything, I'm excited about the big use cases of what's to come, and there will be AI powered, and hopefully will come with that will play a part in such killer use cases. But I also think that at below these sort of the big names of what's to come, whether they're vibe coded or not, there will be like an army of common builders that such as us. That could be anyone, right? Could be like Sheena, like the Nokia game that she created. And these builds, in my opinion, like these mini apps, however you want to call them, I think they will have a role of content, in the sense that I think there will actually be, I don't know who will create this or whether like they will consume this live stream that we're doing right now, and there could be an idea for someone out there. But I think there will be a social for mini apps going forward. So just like when you're scrolling, that scrolling phenomenon won't change, whether it's on TikTok or Instagram, doesn't really matter. It's just deeply ingrained in our psyche. I think it's just like a natural instinct for us to go through it, and you just get that dopamine hits, like of just super short form content. And right now you're looking at a video. Who is to say that going forward you won't be looking at a product review, right? Sorry, like a game review that could be for 15-20 seconds, Sheena talking about her game, and if I like it, I click on it and I play, right? So maybe that's a consequence of what's to come, right? So we'll be interacting with apps as opposed to videos, and apps content about the apps is still content, right? So I don't know what you guys think, Sheena, what you think, but that
I'll
could
give
also
you
be.
one more angle over here, Eric. So slightly, like, I think looking at a larger picture here, we're talking about builders, and I think all of us sometimes just narrow it down to someone who's building something. Like you took my example, right? But as a professional expert or coming to my academic knowledge, I'm hands-on when it comes to legal and finance. So for me, I will not be like regularly building something which is game or probably something which is into fashion industry. But what I'm going to do is in my day-to-day, like for example, bookkeeping, a day-to-day bookkeeping activity that I'm doing right now very manually in an Excel sheet. Having gained that knowledge about how to wipe code, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to create a solution to simplify the life of people like me trying to do bookkeeping. So it's not that AI is going to, ensure that if one idea comes and there are like many more people building around, but it would be more getting penetration of the AI sector in any and every daily, use case that you have. So for like when we are trying to get all the vibe coders together, okay, initially just for fun, we might just pick up the most easiest and a simplistic idea which has already gained some kind of traction. For example, if you see, if I my limited creativity that I had, I just replicated the snake game. But if I was a pro gamer, or if I had that kind of creativity, I would have created a much better and a much stronger version, something inspiring from snake, but something coming up absolutely new. So that is what that quality or that validation would be bought in by a gamer. So by giving a unified workspace to that particular gamer, I'm letting his ideas creep in more seamlessly, giving him the right motivation and the right skill set and availability of the tools, and able to bring his idea to life and get it usable among the community. I, being from a finance background, I did some kind of small vibe coding and I get my hands on it how to translate my simple English language into a chat GPT and try to create a module. And plus, like NodeOps gave autogen deployment, I had a place to go and deploy. So it did not just restrict to me or my person sitting next to me on the desk and telling, okay, hey, listen, if you want to simplify, here is my laptop. Here is, I've already created something for myself. Come ahead and use. But I'm able to circulate it among my entire circle of friends. And I think that is something which, we are always trying to narrow down, that this is only everyone trying to be builders. No, we are not everyone trying to be builders. We are trying to penetrate and simplify the daily problems or repetitive tasks that we get into a more AI module. Secondly, you mentioned about someone copying the idea. I think that's always been in history, right? You pick up even the best of the best brands, people go in for first copy, second copy. So that is something which is always been there down the history. But the first mover advantage and the quality that as an expert you're bringing would never be replicated by someone who's just done a copy and paste. Simple example, in your exam, you're writing an answer, right, Eric? Behind chap says, just show me the answer. He will just pick up the words he can see, but he does not understand the integrity of why is he writing. And we have those famous memes, right? When someone copied an answer sheet, they also copied the name and the roll number. So I think it is a problem, but I think there are ready solutions, and already there are several testimonials to this, at how it can be. So it should not be discouraging someone from vibe coding or getting their idea live, but it's just about ensuring that you keep improvising it because it's your baby idea. You know how to scale. Example, NodeOps. The problem was to simplify the life. We started off as a NAS and look at where we are today. So this NAS was also replicated by a lot of projects, but they never hit that stage that NodeOps was able to achieve.
Yeah, I think Tamina, adding on that as well, we have seen that the evolutions of the web have come at crucial point on how the user engage with the internet. So on Web 1 was very consumption based, and Web 2 it was very user generated. Then we do have the parallel of Web 3, which is with value redistribution and generation from user content. I'm not going to put any labels because, God forbid, I think we've already gone to Web 5. I just give up on that kind of numbering. But I do believe that we are at the pivotal time where we are entering the phase of user-generated applications. So that's when you actually don't need. And I do wonder, like I was literally today, like wondering and discussing at home, are we really seeing the beginning of the end of SaaS as we know it? Other than for very complex deployments for enterprises or security, very, very complex deployment. But the everyday SaaS, is it gone altogether? Like, why would I trust, a SaaS company to know, with a cookie cutter, again, probabilistically, they are building something that the majority of people with my same problem would be using. And it's been designed for the majority of people to solve the most statistically relevant problems in that same way. So as it that age of the internet come to a close with this, and I think it is very exciting to see whatever is going to come next is for us, how we can play a role in this next phase of evolution, where any person, as so well, so eloquently say, Sheena, it is not about being a builder by how we understand builder in a strictly narrow sense of someone building code and then at the end of the process there is an application. We are entering the semantic phase where you can imagine something, you can verbalize it. Once you can verbalize it, then the artificial intelligence will do the hard work of the coding bit. So it is, I can be a builder by conceptualizing and understanding a need. And I think that one of the stages would be that I will not necessarily go to market with that to monetize it for others, for third parties or for customers to be using it. Even if I improve my own productivity and I directly monetize my own experience, whatever is your definition of monetization, then that in itself will be a good enough use of vibe coding. Say, for example, as you say, I'm an accountant and I will create my own applications for my own workflows and I will be a better accountant at the end of that. My productivity will increase. Or as a marketer, Eric and I have been like vibe marketing everything, to just, exponentially grow our ability to be productive for the team. In the same way, I believe that we are hitting that stage where by having a good platform that makes it possible, we are breaking the understanding of SaaS, of products, online products, and we're entering a new phase, which is absolutely exciting to see.
Couldn't agree more, and I think we'll be able to answer this question in a way with the direction I want to go next. Is that don't you think that I agree with you? I think SaaS will be an obsolete term probably by the end of the year. Like you still have the big SaaSes, you still have like big players who have been able to as Sheena mentioned, either have a first mover advantage within their respective verticals, and they have an established audience and they continue to do business. But if you're trying to set up a SaaS now, right, and especially have like a subscription-based model, and you're asking a user to pay X amount of bucks for a specific service, right, which could be, I don't know, man, like anything, right? Like I'm just struggling to come up with an example. I think we're dealing, well, brands in general, they're dealing with users that are ever more demanding and savvy, if you actually think about it, right? Because we've never had so much access to information, which means that they know that okay, so you're charging me X for Y and Z service. Would I probably not be able to vibe code that myself, or speak to someone who might be able to put something similar together that might not be as good, but I can get a working solution put together for I don't know, $50 worth of credits on whatever platform, right? So that's a powerful shift from a consumer standpoint, because you're way more wouldn't say skeptical, but just more sophisticated, right, in your decision making and your evaluation process. So, don't you think that the next iteration will be, I was speaking to a friend of mine this weekend about this, is that we'll just be moving towards like a C2C model. So essentially you'll be going like customer to customer, based on whatever your need is, right? So Sheena, you mentioned accounting. It could be something that is extremely tailored to what you do, but there might be someone out there who has a similar routine of theirs in their work life, and they just reach out to you and say, hey, like, I like this, is there a value attached to it? You decide, you agree on a price, and you're like, there's no intermediary, either whether it's through X402, however, whatever the payment protocol is. But do you think that's the next phase for both of you, or no? Because I think so.
Yeah, let me just go quickly and then I'll let Sheena expand more. But for me, as a quick response to this, I don't think there would be any either or, but it's just, it will very much differentiate the two. It's the difference from buying or having a recipes book, or having your recipes from, you know, your family, and then cook it for yourself at home, as opposed to going to a restaurant. You know, in the end, the product is having food. Like, you're hungry, you have to eat something, but how you go about it would be very, very different. One, because of course you're gonna go, why would you go to a restaurant? Could be that you're just, you know, you don't feel like cooking and you're tired. But to me, it's probably because the experience of going to a restaurant and finding other people that are with you there. So it's the ecosystem, the community that is around. The experience of going to the restaurant is what you want to have. You know, that is the deliverable that you want to get out of it. Instead, if you just want to cook for yourself, probably you want to customize something to your own taste, and you want to get something that is either more affordable or so. The needs would be way more segmented, and I think there would be a differentiation between places online when there are a lot of peoples and you go there because there are a lot of peoples. So those SaaS, those platforms that thrive on an ecosystem economy will stay. Those that are directly tools and problem statements, I do agree that probably directionally we're going to end up to a peer-to-peer, you know, code sharing, and then easy implementation customization for personal use.
Yeah, that's a
Sheena, what
very
do you?
nice way to put it. Again, I mean, it's going to depend totally on person to person. Like, as an individual, I am there in my day-to-day life also. If I have too much of time to explore, I definitely love to look at something which is more C2C, in the sense that I'll try to browse that, okay, is there someone else who's doing this? Let's not go with the standardized where the entire crowd has been pushed towards. But when there is like shortage of time and I want to be like 100% sure, I don't want to take up any risk, I don't have the time to spend to evaluate or do a comparison. In that scenario, I would just prefer to go with something which is more traditional and which has more validation in the market. So this is one approach, and this is, I think, which is always going to continue. Like, if you're going to look at very big enterprises, because they have so much of, answerable, like they're answerable to so many folks in different domains in different geographic locations, maybe they will never like to shift from what they are already at. They may not like to explore with something which is coming up by casual builder, even if that builder has been able to draw a lot of traction or a lot of draw like amazingly good metrics. This would be one way of looking at things. But on the other side, with the whole narrative, like, again, for me, Web3 doesn't translate to just blockchain, or there are many more things that come attached when you talk about a Web3 landscape, right? And one of the key, I remember theoretically when I learned what is Web3, it was about getting rid of the intermediaries and unnecessary layers. So I think in that aspect, having, like, getting connected through builders, and of course now with the whole globalization of the payment system as well, it's very easy to interact, to talk, and have everything on the blockchain. So given that kind of a validation available and a very seamless flow, we could be seeing a mixed response where people would just love to interact peer to peer, see what someone else has built, try to do a value addition, and come together, and unnecessarily going through those long drawn processes of onboarding, paying excessively heavy bills, which are completely in line with the way the tradition has been coming down. So I think it's going to be like Alex said, there's no or, but it's like and over here, like it would be both hand to hand.
Yeah, and adding, because you got me thinking here, like, where is, and actually if you think about it, I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet, where directionally platforms that are already with a very large use base, and users say like a Canva or whatnot, there should be a vibe coding modules within where I take the most of what they already have, but then I vibe code my own version of it that then I can customize, not in its entirety, but for certain features that I know that I really need and they are for me. So the idea of more like ubiquitous, any customer being able to just do what they need and then just, it's way more democratized than I really love. That could be a pathway going forward.
True, I agree, but I think there's also, I wouldn't say like a dark side to it, but the cost, right? In the sense that mm, like inevitably, especially for like the more manual stuff, right? And well, I would say repetitive is a better term because not manual. So stuff that could be automated inevitably will be automated with AI. I think through the history of labor, there's always been like big uh, evolutions, right? Industrial revolution and with the steam engine and like just like a series of things. And I think AI will be like in 100 years time, we'll be looking back and will be like a key thing that made inevitably progress more streamlined, right? So I think that's a whole separate discussion. But that said, I think we're not talking about years to come. Like this is now, right? In terms of, and the tools are getting way better at unprecedented speed, right? So I think there's an element of responsibility that comes also with users. At least I find this myself. Like I can't really be a bystander any longer, right? When it comes to like a new tool, like you're almost compelled to look into it, see how it works. Like, is it better than the other one? Like it makes you more responsive because you have to be to understand what you're dealing with, what others have at their disposal compared to you, what you can do with this new tool. And that also ties in with what we wanted to discuss today in terms of just having tool proliferation, right? So all of this to say, I think with more knowledge also comes more creativity, right? And I think that's a beauty. And I wanted to ask both of you, like, to me, like, what do you think will be a use case that, as a result of either like an app that will be entirely vibe coded or something where AI will play like a key role, that say we have this session in 12 months time, looking back, it'll be like, okay, my hunch was correct, tied to like, what do you think will grow the most as a result of the amazing tools that we have at our disposal? Could be Web3, could be Web2, could be a mixture of the two. You decide. I have an opinion, but I'll go after you.
Sheena, you go first.
Oh, I was just thinking. In fact, all this while, Eric, when you were talking about, right, the shift and everything, and talking about how the dependency. So one example has been hovering my mind. I feel that the whole business of sending those physical invitation cards of marriages has totally died out. With like this year, I think ChatGPT, because I had a family wedding and my cousins were coming down from Canada and they had no time to prepare for the wedding. And my first question was, "Don't you want to go to the shops to choose your own wedding card?" And it's like, hello, which era are you living in? We just went to ChatGPT and created our own wedding card and already distributed over WhatsApp. So, I mean, this was something which was like hitting my mind that, yeah, we are talking about AI at a very higher stage, but at daily, day to day lives, there are so many use cases that, totally go unnoticed, but yes, they're all AI driven. So, yeah, coming back to your question, the tools which would be most handy, right? That's what your question was.
Now, maybe something that you think will become way more dominant as a result of AI, right? It could be a use case, it could be a vertical that you think will just grow a lot as a result of this AI in general. So
To be
AI
very
tooling.
honest and very blunt, and I think I just hope my community doesn't take it negatively, it would be about writing narratives and stories. Where, so again, if you look at it, Eric and Alex, because you guys are both marketers, it's very simple to say that I can write my own narrative and my own storytelling using AI tools, putting the SEO words. But believe me, from a closer lens, when you pick it up, Of course, everyone can do that storytelling, but unless and until you don't have that expertise and that human mind to ensure what you're writing is in cognizance to what you want to communicate and have that human touch, it is not replaceable. Like you cannot say that eventually, as a builder to an entrepreneur, I'm going to get rid of the marketing team. No, but I think very extensively, when it comes to writing posts or of blogs, you can easily make it out that this is just an AI generated. So I think that whole aspect of having like a proper person researching, like when I talk about research, it's like an in-depth research that you do not leave any page unturned. You read it from A to Z, but what people are typically doing is going to AI, TLDR. TLDR, of course, generates something basis your past research and your ability to, think about it. And then they try to make analysis. One classic example, from a law perspective, I created an addendum. So people who are from the law background will understand that addendum is never the main agreement. And I sent it to a client. Somebody else thought, okay, fine, addendum means it's a very fancy word from an agreement. He created the first document, legal document, and named it addendum. So, though we are trying to get rid, I don't think so. There is any sector that would be completely replaced by AI, but it would be a great assistant where you already have the knowledge and to safeguard your time, effort, and efficiency and have like a good turnaround of your work. Yes, that would definitely go hand in hand. That's my take. I don't think so. Any of the tools, any of the expertise, any of the fields is completely replaceable by AI.
Yeah. I think if I don't look at it as a questions about like area of competency within a company, but I look it as more as like a vertical for like an industry level. I do wish that whatever comes next for the applications of AI will touch lowly digitized environments that through a steep reduction in human cost, knowledge know-hows, all of the barriers are coming down because of vibe coding, because of AI. I wish that there would be a marked improvement in the lives of people that would benefit the most from digitization, where digitization and intelligence based on data as being the blocker for that quality of lifestyle to happen. So whether we are looking at real lives of poorly represented manufacturing processes, for example, or whether it's around certain type of farming or industrial processes where the data may be there, but how then the data is used for practical intelligence is actually blocked. So my personal wish list, I had this wish list as a tough cookie and hardcore believer in decentralization, where I still believe that the most important use cases as of Web3, it's still decentralizing finance and providing better infrastructure for financial use cases in upcoming markets. I've seen that. I think we're not kidding ourselves if we believe that that is the case. That I think that is pretty evident. In the same way, I hope that the wave of Web3 and of AI, hopefully also paired with some of the infrastructure that Web3 can bring forward. And I do believe that NodeOps would be the best positions out there to merge the two in a way that actually makes that possible, where we have all of these that actually brings marked improvement in processes for otherwise cut out of the progress environment. I would love to see like a headline for an unexpected geography, emerging market, you know, that have a very big headline with AI there, and that how that AI has actually improved lives.
Yeah, I think my prediction is way less noble than yours, but I think based on what you said, there was I listened to a podcast with the Nvidia CEO, I think his name Hansen, with on Joe Rogan, and yeah, he provided a prediction along the lines of what you suggested towards like a positive development that developing economies might not necessarily have access in the next 5 years to the AIs that a Europe or a US or an India or a China might have in terms of state of the art, because it's expensive and you need resources. But hopefully that is, the inhabitants and citizens in developing economies, whether that may be in Latin America, Africa, or specific other pockets of the world, will have access to still powerful AIs that hopefully will be able and available, readily available on their phones, that will make their day to day easier somehow. I don't know how, but through access to information, which information is wealth, right? Um, for me, the use case, I think it's already like a huge, but will be prediction markets. I don't necessarily agree with it, or do I think that I've never done it? Like, I've never, what can I say, made an educated opinion on something like an event that might happen or not, or how it will happen. But I think it's genius, and it's just like an extension of human nature and human psyche to want to know whether Alex will have a coffee in an hour, or yes or no. Like, do I like? It's of course not very important information to me, but if I ask that to someone, is like, do you think they will? Like, it's something that it's definitely a conversation starter, and information sharing is never been so high as a result of socials, AI. So hopefully it'll be more noble and ever more. But I think that's, for example, like a poly market, the fact that it's all on chain and powered by blockchain, I think it's a huge achievement for the industry as a whole in terms of where we're heading and validation. So yeah, that's one thing. We have to the last few minutes, so we had a few questions regarding AutoGen, so I'll answer a couple of those, because today there is the cutoff for, it's in a couple hours actually, for the migration to the AutoGen V2. Mobile support, one was for Node.js. So using Node.js from mobile, you're still not able to deploy using AutoGen, but that's because that's from a GPT side, from their end. The issue is not from our perspective. So if you want to, you can create your, you can vibe code utilizing mobile, but when it comes to deployment, we suggest doing it from your desktop, right? If you don't have access to one yourself, friends or family friends, and then you can deploy it yourself, do it within the 6 hours, because otherwise your link is lost. And in terms of let me see what else is there. Someone was asking for custom agent logic or plugins. Let's just say that there's something that we're working on that will soon release, that will allow you to interact with your favorite IDEs, being Cursor, and you can understand where we're heading, but I don't want to say too much more. But let's just say that via what's to come, you'll be able to make the infra side of vibe coding a lot more streamlined, secure, and performant, right? I think it's hard for me not to say much more, especially with like naming. But this was a very high level discussion. I'd like maybe we can make this into like a more repetitive segment of just chatting AI. I think it can also be reassuring for folks out there too, because it's scary as well. But for us that we work in it, I think these are important conversations. So who better than Sheena, Alex? Thank you very much for the thought-provoking discussion. It's always a pleasure. If you have anything to add, now's the time for you.
Thank you, everybody. It's always, such a pleasure to gather together around the fire and, get the conversation going. Hope you feel, nice and warmed up. We definitely feel with a lot of energy. Keep your eyes peeled. Keep, close to our channels and get more people through, our channels, our followers. Expect big ticket announcements and big ticket evolution for us in the coming days and weeks. And yeah, I can't wait for 2026 to develop from the next weeks onwards. Okay? I can see like my dog has come to say hi as well. So perfect bye. Thank you, everyone.
So it's always a pleasure to come on this on the video live stream. I can see a lot of comments, and definitely we're going to take time to reply. Sorry, I can't hold myself back because I'm a person without filters. I do see some love, which is a little minus side, but thank you for having eyes on us and leaving at least some comment, be it positive or negative. It just shows that people know us. So I'm sure those who are skimming through the comments know what I'm talking about. And yes, I think there's one person asking that he got introduced to Autogen by one of the ambassadors, and you're a newbie. So there is a whole plethora of experience available for you. There are a lot of blogs and resources available. And if at all you still have trouble, just DM any one of us, and we'll ensure that you get your hands on. And let's start your building journey, not just from building to building, but from building to a complete monetization cycle. Having said that, I think I have given, like Alex said in the beginning, the juicy bits of what's coming up from NodeOps. Looking forward, and I'm sure what is next is definitely going to be useful for everyone out there who has been following the NodeOps page. Other people who are not on our right now, who don't know about NodeOps, I'm sure you must be seeing my messages and replies coming that you need to check out Build on NodeOps. Do have a look at that, because when I say something, I really mean that. So yeah, signing off with these words for now.
Awesome. Thank you very much, guys. It's we'll be resuming these on a weekly basis after the break. So more of these discussions and more hot developments. And yeah, let's just say the next few weeks are going to be very intense, but in the best sense of the word. Once again, Alex and Sheena, thank you very much. It's always the best to discuss, especially these kind of very actual and relevant themes and developments. And yeah, until next time.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Sheena.